So anyway, Van Jefferson traded by the Rams after being in two snaps on Sunday for the Rams. It's Puka Nacua, it's Cooper Kupp, it's Tutu Atwell, and Ben Skowronek and Van Jefferson are the odd man out now that Cooper Kupp's back. It's not a surprise. Sean McVay tried to word salad his way through the failure of Jefferson to be on the field for more than 2 snaps, but it was obvious. I was glad I wrote the item yesterday morning. He seems like the odd man out. By the end of the day, he's traded to the Falcons.
Only thing surprising to me, Mike, is it's the Falcons. I would have expected more teams to be in the running for him, and maybe there were. Maybe it was the Falcons. Rams feel like that's going to be a higher draft pick. But, Van Jefferson's a good 2-3 receiver. He had 50 catches for 802 yards and 6 touchdowns in 2021. I mean, he could play. He wasn't given a chance to play because the guys in front of him were better. He will get that chance to play in Atlanta. Boy, they miss Calvin Ridley right now. But maybe that'll open things up for Kyle Pitts because he hasn't been a big part of that offense. You look at the players on that offense and you think that's going to be a really potent offense, and it hasn't been that yet. So I think Van Jefferson really helps the Falcons, and surprised that's where he ended up because I would have thought more teams would have been in the running. Again, maybe they were, but I think this guy, for the cost that the Falcons got him for, I think it was a really good trade for the Falcons.
Charean, I don't think anybody else was. This has become this trade formula. This is the new we're giving the guy away move. The Rams have done it twice so far this year with Cam Akers and now with Van Jefferson. 2025 6th-round pick from the Falcons in exchange for Jefferson and a 2025 7th-round pick. So you get a 6, you give a 7, you give up the player, you improve your draft position by 1 round in some future year from 7 to 6. We saw it with J.C. Jackson. We saw it with Randy Gregory. We saw it with Cam Akers. And now we've seen it with Van Jefferson. This is the new everything must go, going out of business. We're going to cut the guy if we don't get this. A little bit of face-saving ability to say we have value in exchange for a guy we were otherwise done with. And I think the bottom line is this trade compensation shows they were done with Van Jefferson.
Yeah, no question about that. He had played 75% of the snaps in the first 5 games, but as you said, not many of them came in that 5th game when Cooper Kupp came back. So they have Cooper Kupp back now. So he was the odd man out, and there's no way that he's going to get more snaps moving forward. But, Mike, he's only 27 years old, and he's shown he can play in the NFL. So, I think the Falcons did well here in getting him. And I watched that. I had that game on Sunday, the Falcons against the Texans, and Desmond Ridder showed me a little bit in that game. So maybe they got something brewing in Atlanta. They're fully capable of winning that division. That division is up for grabs. Bucs are on top right now, but the Falcons have a shot to win that division. And I'm sure that played into their thinking of, we need another weapon in offense, open up some things for our other players. And so they got Van Jefferson. And now you look at all their weapons, they're stacked there in Atlanta.
And here's the bottom line. With the Rams and the receiving core, Charean, there's the guys Matthew Stafford trusts, and there's the guys he doesn't. He trusts Puka Nacua. He trusts Cooper Kupp. I'm looking at, despite that 75% playing time in the first 4 games, week 1, 4 catches for 24 yards, 5 targets. Yep. Week 2, 1 catch for 9 yards on 4 targets. Week 3, 1 catch for 46 yards on 3 targets. Week 4, 2 catches for 29 yards on 3 targets. Stafford wasn't throwing it to Van Jefferson. He's in the last year of his contract. They got something for him. They don't have to pay him the balance of his salary. It's not a huge salary. It's like $1.5 million. But they were ready to move on, and maybe he was ready to move on too. That's the other thing that happens, I think, with some Rams players. If you're not all in with the Sean McVay approach, you're all out. There's no middle ground. You either love it and you completely embrace it, or this isn't for me and I want out, and they tend to accommodate, if possible, the desire of the guys to get out. And I think this is a combination of Stafford wasn't throwing it to him. We don't need him right now because we have Kupp and we have Nacua and we have Atwell and we have Skowronek, and maybe he wants out too. Because they could have waited. They got 3 more weeks. Yeah. All it takes is one injury to one player, with one team. Hell, I'm surprised the Vikings didn't come calling. Kevin O'Connell's got Van Jefferson experience. Justin Jefferson's on injured reserve, or at least headed there. He'll be gone for 4 weeks. They need a warm body. This is a guy they could have brought in for the 6-7 flip like the Vikings did with Cam Akers. So maybe they could have gotten more, or maybe, I don't know. Maybe O'Connell knows. Maybe there's a limit to what Jefferson can do, and O'Connell wasn't interested. But the bottom line is they got nothing, next to nothing for Van Jefferson. And now, I don't know, Atlanta's, unless he's going to play quarterback, and hey, Desmond Ridder was great on Sunday against the Texans, but nobody really expected that. They've got the weapons. How's he going to crack the rotation there with all the guys they have, Charean?
Well, and that's a good question, Mike, especially stepping right in the middle of the season and trying to learn the offense. So if he thinks 15 targets in 5 games isn't very much, he's probably not going to get very many in the next few weeks until he learns at least part of the offense. So, yeah, he may have a tough time, at least initially, breaking in. But, injuries happen. And that's why sometimes, Mike, when they basically we've talked about all the players who they've given away. I'm not going to just give away a player because if I think he can help me if I have an injury at that position. Like, I want depth on my team. And I don't know. There are just a lot of these players that teams are giving away that I think these guys can play. And Van Jefferson's a guy I think I would want there as a 3rd, 4th, 5th receiver because I think he can play a little bit. But you're right. Maybe more went into it. Maybe he wasn't happy with the 15 targets over the first 5 games and 75% of the plays, which is not very many. You're basically running routes for nothing, trying to take some of the coverage away is basically all he was doing for most of this season. 8 catches, 108 yards, and no touchdowns. So maybe that played into it too. You're right. Maybe he said, look, I'm not a part of this. I want to go somewhere else where I can get a chance to play. But now, you're right, he's going to have to prove to the Falcons that he can play and he can learn the offense and all those things to break into that rotation.
They've got him penciled in as the backup to Drake London. The other starting receiver is Mac Hollins. They've got Kaderil Hodge as the backup there. Scotty Miller also on the depth chart. But when Kyle Pitts, who we're still not really sure if Kyle Pitts is going to be the guy that we thought he was going to be when he was drafted top 10. He had 1,000 yards as a rookie, but it just feels like there's a gear there. There's a level there that he's yet to fully achieve on a consistent basis. You got Bijan Robinson, who's involved in the passing game. Cordell Patterson, who is kind of the odd man out in the backfield. They've got Jonnu Smith. So I don't know how he fits. I don't know where he fits. And it's never easy when you change a team as a receiver to step right in and have an impact. It's an offense you don't know. It's personnel you don't know. He's got the relationship with Pitts from college, but that's it. So it just shows you that it was pretty bad for him with the Rams, bad enough that he sees this as a new beginning and a reason to feel good about being plugged into the Falcons on the fly as they try to build on what they were able to do this weekend at home against the Texans. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.